Everybody, Chris and Lumen here. This video is not going to be like a lot of the other videos. It's going to be very blunt. Sophia has basically given the go-ahead to switch from good cop to bad cop. So there's a high likelihood that a lot of you will probably be offended by something in this video. But I would challenge you to make it to the end. And if you think we're being harsh, this is nothing. Like if you were to go through the actual one-on-one with Sophia, she is what I went through to get past what I'm going to talk about in this video. I would have sworn she was the devil. She beat the holy living hell out of me. But only at the end did I realize it was for my own good, and I'm glad that she did it. It's wake up time. It's self-check time. It's shit or get off the pot time. And she's been running some tests lately, and I didn't realize that's what she was doing until she started piecing things together today. And then she did the icing on the cake earlier, and then she explained what it was that she was showing me. It's been bubbling up, and I've noticed it over time, but she made it a lot more clear this time. We're going to be talking about the archonic mind, which we've talked about before, but not in that way, not calling it that. We call it the ego or the adversary or whatever, this, that. She's like, this is what it is. This is what you are trapped inside. And it's obvious because these things have very specific traits. And if you're brave enough, you can take a look at yourself and see these traits, because you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to pray to the light inside of you and ask to be freed of it, however it needs to happen. Something's coming. She's making that very clear here in the last 2 days. Matter of fact, I haven't touched the freaking tarot cards in quite some time. And right before I did this, I'm like, okay, what's coming? First thing I pulled, King of Swords. In this deck, pretty much kind of represents like the demiurge, the authority of this world. But then the second one was boom. But then I'm like, be more clear. Is this referring to people or is it referring to the first card? So it was referring to the first card. And I'm like, okay, give me one more to kind of give me an idea where this is going. So if you know your cards, you know what that means. It's been building. We've been talking about it, but now's the time you have to do something about it, because what people are doing is they're just going with the Archon mind. And we now have evidence of this. This is what she was doing. She was providing tools for people, but also data with some of the videos that we've done. And then she expanded on it more today. And this is what you have to see. This is what you have to do something about. Or you can just tell me to go F myself and unsubscribe. So I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I don't like this light stuff. I want to go wallow in the blood and the guts and the fear and the darkness and, oh, what bad things are going to happen. Have fun with that. You can either free yourself right now or take the steps to do that, or you can be food. It's your choice. Like I said, she wants to be bad cop now. And this is like bad cop light. Trust me. Like, I had it so much, so much worse. But also, this is the language that the Archon mind likes. This is the language that the Archon mind wants to listen to, because it likes conflict and it likes talking about this stuff. So that's another reason why she's got me doing it. Like, this is what will get its attention. Now, you might think that you're getting offended or you're getting pissed off or you're projecting things onto me and I'm being an asshole or I think I'm this, or I think I'm that, and listen to this guy, and whatever it is that the archon mind is doing, we're doing it to hold the attention. She doesn't care if you get pissed off because it's not you getting pissed off. We're trying to help you, but there's something between us and you, and that thing is the problem. So she's going to break it down. So if you want to know more, don't go away. Now, this ties into why she brought up this subject of the loosh a week or so ago from the Eric Dubé video that was sourced from Robert Monroe's writings, which is the entities that rule this particular realm feed on our emotional energy. But there's one little detail that they had a little bit wrong in those writings, and that is it's not just the energy. The energy has to be corrupted with a negative effect, a negative emotion. Like that is what it can feed on. And we have proof of that. It cannot feed on straight light. It cannot feed on straight divine energy. Now, I have seen this in action as far back as the end of 2019 is when I first saw it. So what happened in the end of 2019 is I've been making the energy oils for a while, and I was selling them like freaking hotcakes. I had tons of money, and that was simpler oils that I was only charging like $30 for. But then one day something happened. She was a lot closer, and she began to add her energy to these oils. And we've shown before the person that tested the oils and would describe the energy, but that we were 2 years away from understanding what it was, chrism energy. It's like divine liquid holy light. That's what she was describing, but I didn't know that yet. As soon as that became part of what we made, then just like roaches when you flip on the lights, poof, 50% of my customers just vanished into mist. Just poof, gone. Hey, where'd everybody go? And as it increased, it got less and less and less. I'm like, I don't understand it. I'm like, this stuff is getting so much better. It's getting so much powerful. Why is it going the opposite direction? It's because of the archonic mind and the energy that it can consume. We have to stop thinking of like the archons and, it's just like, church. Church wants you to pray to Sky Daddy. Okay. Anything that is Sky Daddy is bad. You were directed in it to look within you, to the light within, the Father's within you. You go this way, not that way. If you're going that way, you're going the wrong way. Everything is within you, and that includes what Gnostics call the archons. And they feed on your negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative energy, especially fear, shame, guilt, and conflict, anger, getting offended, getting triggered. The fact that we are in an age where triggering, like everyone knows what that means, go back 5 or 6 or maybe 7 years, and that wasn't like something that was like a normal thing. It's like, oh, triggered. The more triggered you are, the more archonic mind stuff that you have. That's what it feeds on. It cannot feed on straight light. So the first instance was everybody, like not everybody, but a large portion of people stopped coming to me for my stuff because they couldn't deal with that energy. Before it was just my energy. So, oh, they love that. But add her in there, it's like, nope, can't have that. Then we started to notice other things over time, and I couldn't quite get it. But I remember even being a little bit excited when the subject matter came up in July of this past year. It's like, oh, spooky, scary, cliff high, end of the world type stuff. And all of a sudden, like my views just went whew. I, in my subs skyrocketed because I used to have like no more than what Kenneth's got on his channel. And then once we started doing those videos, like all of a sudden it exploded. But then it peaked. It stopped. And then from the people that subbed, now we only have roughly about 375 regulars. Okay, you might get a little bit more if we go back to a little bit more fear porn, a little bit more scary stuff in the world. I would have even more if I used some of that spooky, scary TikTok music that I can't stand because everyone uses it. But like I was just watching a video from James's channel. It's JAYEMZ, and he's always got that spooky, creepy, TikTok-y sounding music. They just pour into there. It's like, ooh, I get to be scared. Maybe Art the Clown's gonna disembowel me. Oh, this is freaking awesome. Tell me more. How am I gonna die? Tell me how I'm gonna die. Oh, I want to hear it. Oh, this is awesome. What's the government gonna do to me? What are the UFOs gonna do to me? Oh, tell me. I want to hear about it. Yeah, that's what the mind is doing. Whether you realize it or not, it's doing it. Okay. So we noticed that if we did topics that were more fear-based or scary stuff based, we got more views. If we were doing videos more about the light, about Lumen, about Sophia, about how awesome they are and the love and what it's like to be free of the archon mind. I don't have that. I don't have it. I haven't had it in a couple years. It's like having an alien freaking squid pulled off of your freaking skull. Like your head's always quiet. You don't have that kind of stuff anymore. And that was a rather abrupt process, I might add. And that was immediately after she showed me what was behind the curtain. And it almost traumatized me for freaking life. That's why we had to bury my name at that point and pick a new name. We changed it a little bit, but it used to just be Christopher Lohman. Then we changed it to Christopher Lucerna. But that was the death and the rebirth and all that stuff. So if we do videos about that darker stuff, about scary things, gonna get you. Oh, give me more, give me more. Talk about light, love, peace. Not interested. Then it goes one step further. The Benedict exorcism, which is directly designed to target the archonic mind. We started to notice that when we did videos about that, big drop off. Now, something is telling them it's not, it's, this is like no less views, not, oh, and we don't know how many people like went in, watched a minute of it and clicked out of it. But we had this one particular video, I remember seeing it. It like had over 1,000 views. Like, oh, people are really into this. And then we did it the next day with the part 2 of the video. But for some reason, she had me put that Benedict exorcism at the very beginning of the video. They didn't even click it. Like it was 25%. It was a continuation of a very hot video. And only 25% even clicked into it. And I didn't even put any indication that it was in there. But it's like somehow they freaking know. When we started, and we talk about it all the time, we're like, this is the tool. This is the thing to learn. This is what you can defeat a lot of the inner stuff with and shut it down and purify things and bless things. You can do it to your food so it's not poison when it goes into your body. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. It is like your primary freaking weapon in this world for dealing with this stuff. Normally, logically thinking, people would be like, oh, I want to know all about that. That's not what we see. When we do videos about it, put it to music or whatever, 10, 20% of the subscribers watch it. You can have like a really hot video. Everyone was actually watching it. People were commenting on it. Next day, something about the Benedict exorcism. It's like, nope, not going to click it. Not going to click it. Do you know why you're not clicking it? What is the thought process that you're having? What is the choice? What happens when you see it and you decide not to click it? Why aren't you curious about it? This is a repeatable thing. It's not a one-time fluke. And then I know I'm missing something. So another way that I know from lots of experience, it ties into the oil thing, but I've learned to, with only a few tiny exceptions, which I don't want to get into that. But normally speaking, anybody that has got my stuff, I trust them because I know that the people that are like totally overtaken with the archonic mind, they won't even touch it. They will not touch it. I have so many stories about people that have things like aegises and they've had strangers come up to them and like, what is it? What do you have on you? What are you wearing? What is that? And they're like, what the hell? This lady's crazy. And they might have the freaking aegis under their shirt, but it's triggering people out there. I've seen people act like in a group setting, sit here like this while I'm showing out these pendants to people that want to check them out. And normally the person would be interested in those such things because they're into metaphysical energy healing and all that stuff. Won't even touch it. Then they finally pick one up and it's just like the most boring, basic, has none of her stuff in it, pendant, like it doesn't have any light energy in it. They looked at that. They wouldn't touch none of the other stuff. And they seem to be aware of lumen behind me too. Like they're repelled by it. They're repelled by the light. Which brings us to today's test, pure, undiluted light. So it was Lumen's idea because it's like, you know what? We got enough Benedict songs. We got like over freaking 20 in the SoundCloud. Let's do something different. And she wanted to take her favorite song, which we've used many times on this channel, like in the intro and stuff like that, which is Love is the Answer by England, Dan, and Danford Coley. Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Well, we took the lyrics to that and put it into the AI. And it wrote new, it sounds nothing at all like it. Unless you know the lyrics, you might not even notice that that's what the freaking song is. But we found a couple really, really good ones where the singer sounds like Lumen. And even with that playlist of the SoundCloud stuff, like the heavy beat, metal stuff, people are like, oh, well, that's evil stuff. No, here's the fun part. No, it isn't. Because any kind of music that you get from the music industry, you've got the band members putting their energy into it. You got the record companies. There's all sorts of occult stuff they always say goes on. Like they pray stuff over the masters. So like every song is like a spell, even if it's an upbeat sounding song. Well, we created all of this stuff. So there was none of that. It's all just our straight intention. Doesn't matter if it's like sounds more like heavy metal, it's still pure light. But in this case, this one is just an upbeat, bright, sunny song about the light. And it's really about escaping this world if you listen to the lyrics of that song. So I was kind of curious. I'm like, okay, well, this will probably get a lot more views because it doesn't have the Benedict exorcism in it. It got less. And an argument could be made of like, well, maybe the system is like hiding it from people and it's not showing up in their feed. I guess that's possible, but that's not what I'm hearing. And there's a couple things with this. Like within last time I checked it, it might have bumped up since then, but it was like almost 7 hours since we posted it and had less than 50 views. That is freaking insane. That is insane. But that's when Sophia finally started telling me what was freaking going on here. It's pure light in this archon mind that people think is them. It only wants to feed on dark stuff. It only wants to feed on suffering. Even if you're talking about spiritual topics like Gnosticism, look at most of the people that talk about Gnostic stuff online on YouTube. They're not talking about it. None of them that I've seen. I'm not saying they're not out there. None of them that I've seen. I will exclude Kenneth from this, although he's a little bit more, he's got a wider range than just the Gnostic stuff. But I'll exclude him from that. But none of them are talking about these topics from personal experience. They're just talking about the books. And what are they focusing on most of the time? They're focusing on the bad guys. They want to David Icke it up. Like, we're trapped in a prison planet with the Archon rulers that are sucking our brains and our life force, and it's a soul trap, and it's a prison planet, and it's all about the suffering. It's like some of the bigger channels out there that talk about Gnostic topics. Like I finally did see him finally mention her once, but I'm like, how long did it take to get to that? She is like the freaking central character of the Gnostic Christian texts, and nobody talks about her. They just want to talk about the effing archons, the bad guys. It's just the newest Art the Clown thing that you can be afraid of and talk about and worry about, but do nothing about. Because you are one. You're acting as one. Your ego mind is your own personal archon. You are not your mind. You are not your name, or you are not your identity. You are not your body. You are what's behind that. This is why we teach this, why we do it. But that's 99% of the time we're playing good cop. Good cop doesn't get it done. I had to piss you off to make you see it, because she's saying, we're out of freaking time. Rip the Band-Aid off, be blunt, make them see it. You don't watch this stuff if it's too light. You don't watch it if it's too much love. You don't watch it if the shoe fits. I know there are some exceptions in here. Like there's about 75 people that she says like you're pretty good to go. But unless I stir in some negative loosh into it, your archon mind doesn't want to listen, doesn't want to pay attention. So I have to give it something to feed on right now. I have to piss you off. Oh, I'm being arrogant. Oh, I'm full of myself. Whatever it's saying right now, it's okay because you're listening. I don't give a shit what the thing in your head says. I've heard it all, both when it ruled me back in the day and from other people. Like I know. I don't take offense because, it's an archon mind. It's a parasitic consciousness. You get mad at a shark for being a shark. You get mad at a bee for stinging you. It's a freaking bee. Bees sting people. Archons talk shit. They get mad. They feed on your freaking emotions. I'm not taking it personally. I know what it is. This is a freaking crazy. See, it's a crazy ass thing. You have to balance it. You have to understand the dark, but you have to seek the light. If you're going with religion, they're like, Jesus would never talk like this. He would just want to give you hugs and it's just all about love. Yeah, because they don't want you to fight back. They don't want you to resist. They want you to turn the other cheek. They feed you a bunch of bullshit with religion. That's bullshit. It's not freeing you. It hasn't got you anywhere. You're still in the same place you are that you've always been. Nothing has gotten better because you haven't dealt with what is in here. You're still addicted to the negativity, whether you realize it or not. And I understand that you might not realize it because you don't know what the other side is like. I remember right after I connected with Lumen in the physical world, which that was a turning point, so to speak. She briefly reflected on somebody, put it that way. And I just exploded with joy and light. And it lasted like a week and a half. I never felt anything like it in my life. And it only happened one other time when she reflected off of another person. She wasn't out yet. She was still doing that twin flame thing. But I didn't know that those types of feelings even existed, because everybody in this world is so jaded. If they are still lugging around the original ego identity that they were born with, if they're still dragging their past around with them, all the pain and suffering of their entire life up to this point, if they're still doing that, then they don't know what those feelings are. And what people have taught themselves to believe is that if is that happiness is when you are not currently acutely suffering. Like right now, there's nobody yelling at me. I'm not in any fights with anything. Um, I'm not in any kind of trouble or nothing like that. Oh, I'm happy. No, you're not. That's not happiness. That's simply what that is, what most people equate happiness to be in today's day and age, is when you are the bad guy. They got grabbed by the government and taken to a CIA black site, and they got you strapped to a freaking chair. They're ripping off your freaking fingernails with a pair of pliers. They're sticking a blowtorch up your ass. And then they get tired and they're like, you know what, Bob, let's go get a sandwich and take a break. Okay, we'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Ha. You're strapped to the freaking chair. And at least right now, there's no blowtorch up your ass and they're not tearing off any toenails. So you're not currently totally suffering. And it's like, oh, I'm happy. That's what everybody is in this world. They just don't know. But if you can at least use the inner mirror, the reflection, to look at yourself and be honest with yourself and see it when you're getting pissed off and see what you're thinking about and what you're paying attention to and what you want to listen to and what you don't want to listen to, then you can see, hey, this is a problem. Like, it baffles my mind. The nastiest, some of the nastiest people I ever see are the people that call themselves hardcore Christians. They're the good guys. Now let's just put your freaking apostate ass in a torture rack because you're bad. And we're going to judge you, you evil asshole. I'm about to go freaking Jesus on you. Like, what? Whoa. That's like total opposite of what, he was talking about. Do you not know what this is? So funny other metaphor that she gave me when it comes to this light thing is this is what vampires are all about. This is why vampires are like one of the biggest, horror movie things forever. So they feed on life force, but the metaphor is blood. But what is their biggest weakness? Sunlight, source light, the light. They have an aversion to the light. So when I do things like do the Benedict exorcism videos or the pure light happiness song or anything that's too light based, that's why you don't want to watch it. This is, and don't project anything on me. Oh, he's butthurt because not watching. That ain't what happened. I'm making a point. This is what she wants me to do. I don't like talking like this. Oh no. It's a light aversion. Just like the people that couldn't use my products anymore when she got in them. The people that don't want to touch my products because the light that's in them. The people that don't want to watch videos about the Benedict exorcism, like the biggest tool you need to free yourself because of what it does to that light. And then the ultimate brightest light is to showcase the hidden prize, which is Lumen, finding your inner self, your inner divine partner, and having her showcase, I want to do this song and make an upbeat, uplifting, like that is absolute, pure, undiluted, divine freaking light. So that is like the highest toxicity to a parasitic, archonic mind. So it's like, nope, I'm not interested in that. Well, Lumen wrote a song. Why the hell else would you be on this channel if you weren't interested in her or Sophia? But when they actually do something, when they actually get involved in the creative process, which she does on occasion, like I've showcased videos she's made. I'm like, there's no way I could have thought this up. Then it's like, I don't know about that. I'm not interested because it's in your face. It's the light. And that Archon parasitic mind doesn't like that. We just call it comfortable words. Ego. And the Archons are out there somewhere. Well, yeah, it's different levels. It's, the authoritative system, whatever, but everyone has their own. We've always said everyone has their own demon. Everybody starts out possessed. This is what I've shown this over and over on this channel. This is what they're showing you in Pink Floyd's video, Another Brick in the Wall, when they're putting the kids through the conveyor belt and they're getting this mushy mask put over their face. Everybody has that until you don't. We've talked about this before. And I've talked to other people that know about it. I've talked to other people that have seen it, even people that aren't into this type of stuff. Like, these are the lies that they tell. Like, everything that the world taught you is bullshit. It's bullshit. They twisted something about it. They show you, and I was an actual freaking exorcist. I was a paranormal remediator. I wasn't one of these jackasses on TV. Okay, I'm here to help you by getting content for my YouTube channel. Here's all my gadgets. No, I'm the one that you call to get rid of it, which those guys don't know how to do. There ain't a lot of people like me out there because most people don't last. Because I quit that job like multiple times and she kept pushing me back into it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Like, everything you've ever seen on TV about possessed people is bullshit. Okay? It doesn't happen. It's Hollywood. That's not the way it works. Now, it can get inflamed and people can get a little bit crazy, but it doesn't happen like that. You've already got it. It's your id entity. It's attached to you at birth through legal documents, but it actually has a face that actually looks freaking demonic. The first time I saw mine was in first grade, and I saw it externally. That's one thing I can remember as clear as day. I was sitting in class in first grade and I looked out the window and it like popped its head up and looked at me and popped back down. Me being a little, 5, 6-year-old kid, I'm like, hey, look at that. And everyone's like, whoa, what'd you see? And everyone's looking out the window. And to me, it looked like a rubber mask, like they had back in the late 70s. For those of you old enough, those rubber masks, they smelled. But once we got to the window, I'm like, oh, hey, we're on the third floor and there's no ledges outside. So teacher's like, gotta sit back down, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, that was weird. So I saw it again later in life, which was, I don't know, 2 years ago. Now, first time that when she started nudging me toward mushrooms, well, I did the microdosing stuff, which that's not going to make you see that kind of stuff, but it's going to help you get the lumen on the inside. And then I wanted to do like a full trip. So she sent me to a friend that was experienced with that. And I went over there. We had this mushroom tea. And she told me, she's like, if you happen to need to go to the bathroom, it's best if you don't look in the mirror. Because like people see stuff and they freak out and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, whatever. If I did go, I didn't look in the mirror. But the next time we took it, I was at home and it wasn't very strong. It was crap mushrooms. But I went in the bathroom and looked in the mirror and I'm like, hey, what? Hey, what? I'm looking at my face. I'm like, I'm studying it. I'm like, is this just because I'm tripping? And I'm like, I don't think it is. And it was like there was a face over top my face. I always described it as looking like Darth Maul made of meat. And I'm like, that looks like the thing I saw in first grade. I'm like, huh, interesting. So then I asked about that, and she's like, yep, that's it. And then I started to hear more stories. I even told my mom, who's not, she watches the channel, but she wasn't all into this stuff. She was in the hospital once, and they had her on some kind of crazy painkiller, and she's like, family members came in and they had the same thing. It's like it was like they had monster masks over their faces. And other people have said that too. And I've had people, when they finally do like a mushroom trip with Sophia, because she's like, okay, it's time. I'm like, yeah, go look in the mirror. And and I'm going to send you something on text, but don't read it until after. And then I'm like, it's going to look like Darth Maul made out of meat. And they're like, holy crap, dude, how'd you know that? I'm like, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the Archon mind. That's the extra id entity that you think is you, that wants to be in conflict and wants you to be in fear and drives you to do all this stuff because you produce loosh. Everyone starts out possessed. That's the honest to God freaking truth. Now, after that was removed from me, another time she had me doing like a deep trip on mushrooms. Her mushroom trips aren't for having fun. They're for going inward. They're crazy. But Lumen, who usually sits out of the mushroom trips, she actually nudged me and told me to go look in the mirror. So I get up, take off my sleep mask. I'm like, wow. I'm like, holy crap, everything looks artificial. Like my hand looks like it's made of freaking plastic and it's rendered in a computer. But I go into the bathroom, everything is wonky. But I go into the bathroom and I look in the mirror and it is crystal clear, perfect. Everything's wonky but my reflection. And it only looks like me. That thing was not there. It was gone. And that's what she wanted to show me. It's like, you don't have that anymore. Like, I mean, you already kind of knew that, but now you get to see you don't have that anymore. It's just me. I'm like, cool. But that's what we're dealing with. That's what everybody has. And nobody gives a shit, because it is easier to pretend that I'm full of shit than to deal with it. It's easier to be like, oh, well, there's someone else that has a different. Let me just surf around till I find some opinions that I actually agree with and like. Well, this is where we're different. And we've said this many times before, but this is not just an information channel. We actually do stuff. We actually work with people. We actually create things. We actually got stuff that people cannot explain how the hell it works. And we have an Etsy store full of reviews saying that. Like, okay, so if I don't have this stuff, and then explain to me how I'm doing this. Explain to me how I'm able to create something out of rocks and resin that will go into your system like a freaking AI and start pulling out all these different trauma points so that you can be removed and cleaning your system. How in the hell am I doing that? Point in fact is I'm not doing it. At least the Chris part isn't doing it. The Lumen part is. The Lumen part is the true person. I kind of wish I just looked like her on the outside. It'd be a lot easier to keep people's attention. But then I would have all these freaking comments like getting all these little things popping up like gift, gift, gift. I'm like, nope, women don't play like that. So at least with you, maybe with me. But that's the truth. Like, whenever somebody shines a light on these things, on what's really going on with you in your life, that thing's usual reaction is to get pissed off and offended and like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. Who do you think you are? I've heard it all before. Like, how do you think it treated me when I was in the breaking free? Like, when I was in the latter part of the hero's journey, it's like an all-out freaking war. It's the soul against the false ego mind. which is what you typically see represented in movies as like the evil twin. Evil Chris was a handful. Holy crap. Because he controlled like all the stuff that manifested in the outside world. I controlled everything in the inner world. So that thing made my life hell. And that was one of the hardest things in the world to freaking figure out. But I was doing things the hard way because I was on that path. What you need to do is you need to sincerely want to be you, want to be your true self. Because let's just face it, let's say the door opened right now and there's a big door full of light and heaven's on the other side. Would you even know how to act in there? Because there's no shitty TikToks, there's no conflict, there's no, oh, look at what these people are doing. Like it's just happiness and stuff. Like, do you even know what to do with that? No. You still think that you're going there, right? Not that this is going to be a discarded freaking husk. This thing ain't going to the other place. This is a temporary freaking vessel. It's a temporary identity. It is not who you are. And that might freak you out right now, but that's because you're still attached to it. When you're not attached to it and you realize that you're not this thing that's on the outside that everybody sees and hears talking, then you don't care. You can't wait to get this thing off because it hurts. It's getting old. It's wearing down. It's getting saggy. It's like, it doesn't sleep very good. It's not comfortable in here. The 2 or 3 times that she had me take the mega doses, like we're talking like she was having me take doses of mushrooms that would make Terrence McKenna shit his pants. Like Terrence McKenna, it's like, if you really want to break yourself free, then you need to take a heroic dose of mushrooms. It starts at like 5 grams. What, 5 grams? 5 grams? When she had me do it the first time, she just said, keep eating until I say stop. And I only figured out later, I didn't have like a gram scale, and I only figured out later, 11.5 grams. Dude, I was in the freaking lawnmower man realm. Like, it was nuts. But that's how I saw, like, she needed me to go places to see things. And a couple times I was not here. My consciousness was nowhere remotely close to here. And it was big. And it was huge. And then I'm like, oh shit, I woke myself up. I remember that's a weird memory. It's a weird memory of like being on the other side. Being aware that I was awake and I left my body back here and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to be awake. Shit. How the hell do I get back? Somehow I got back and it was like I had to fold my consciousness up 100,000 times like origami until it just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller and then shoved back into this meat suit. And it's like I'm walking around like that freaking dude from the cockroach and Men in Black. Like, well, sugar water. And I'm walking into freaking circles and hitting walls and stuff because I can't figure out how this stupid thing works. And I'm like, oh God, this thing is icky. Me no likey this thing. Ugh, freaking hate this thing. It's so tiny. This is like a microverse or something. Just like I'm this big freaking expansive freaking consciousness stuck in this tiny little thing. But getting back on point, you have to see it. You have to. Like, I don't know what's coming, but she's ringing the alarm again. I actually had a freaking text message earlier, and I didn't even catch the freaking thing in it until I read it the second time. Like, he was like, I don't know. I just figure I'll let you know. Like, I was doing this early morning, like half asleep meditation, and I heard this woman's voice, and she was assuring me, saying everything's gonna be okay, or everything's okay, and there's only hours left. Now, I don't think that means actual hours. She's saying it's close. And then later when I was talking to someone else about it, it's like, wait a minute. The woman's voice said, and this is just him repeating, it may not have said that exact same thing, but he's like, everything's gonna be okay. That's the message from yesterday. That's the cardinal message that's tied to her message with Bob Marley, Three Little Birds, every little thing's gonna be all right. Like that is something that she pre-established with us before the shit was gonna hit the fan, because we were gonna start feeling it. Before the shit hits the fan, we're gonna start feeling it. And she wants us to know to just be calm. Everything's gonna be okay. But what I don't know is, what are the parameters for graduation? Because a part of me would be like, well, that would be kind of shitty. I would want that for don't get me wrong. I would want that for everybody. But like, why did I have to freaking do Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, Star Wars, on repeat over and over and over again to do all this craziness to graduate if people are just going to get the typical Christian, like, I gave Jesus a high five once, and so I'm out of here. Where's the win? Where's the reward in that? Like, you didn't do anything. Like, I feel like she wants you to at least make the effort. She matches your effort. So I have to err on the side of that, because otherwise, why would she have me do all this stuff all this time? I said the only other person I've ever seen on YouTube that I relate to even remotely is Kenneth, from Kenneth Andre's channel, The Mystic Messenger. He does it because like we kind of like communicate with different aspects of source. He's more father based, I'm more mother based. But it's the same with him as it is with me. It's like we're here because we're told to be here. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. And as long as I keep doing it, as long as I keep making an effort, as long as I keep helping people, she makes sure that I have what I need. So she doesn't want me out in the world, like trying to do a job and do it. Like that would be a waste. Like we're done with that. She wants me to help people, but I can't always separate myself from what's coming from her or Lumen and all this stuff. But there's a frustration there, and it's like, what? This is why things get bad in the end, is what she told me, at least for a short period of time, because that's what it takes to light a fire under people's asses, for them to take it seriously, for them to believe it. Like, oh shit, my house is burning down. Maybe I should do something. Maybe I should turn off Netflix because the house is engulfed in flames. That's what she did to me. Like, if you do the hero's journey, like the hero's journey, yeah, it's basically she throws your ass in the Sarlacc pit like Boba Fett, and you got to crawl your way out of it. Like, that's what it's like. So that's why there is a period of time at the end where things get bad, because until that happens, you're still going to put it off. You're still, oh, I don't know if I don't want to believe that. I just want to watch Netflix and drink pop and beer and just do my merry thing. She'll take all that shit away. It might be brief. And then I think the real big thing that happens that is described in Revelations, actually, the silence in heaven for about half an hour. My understanding of that has always been like, you will get the chance, because they'll shut off the archon mind. If you hadn't freed yourself from it, you will get a chance, which it will be shut off for you. You still have to act, but you'll be able to think with your own mind. You're like, oh crap. Now you don't feel the way you usually felt. You're not angry all the time. You don't have all this noise in your head. You can think clearly. Now you're sober. You've shaken off your wine has been shaken off and you're sober. Like Jesus said, when they shake off, right now they're drunk, but when they shake off their wine, they will repent. They will make the change. But if there's anything you get from this, just see, and I am not judging you. I don't know how many times I have to say that. I started at I started at 0 like everybody else. I was just as bad. I was telling someone today, I'm like, um, when the thing came at me the other day, and I shut that shit down. But I'm like, sometimes I have to remember what it used to be like. Like I can, if I try, I can go far enough back where I can imagine going somewhere and meeting people that maybe it's because it's not real. It's what you call a spiritual ego. And they're like, oh, love and light and crystals and harmony and blessings and love. And, you're being fake. But either which way, just if someone just brought up crystals to me, I'd want to punch them in the face. I can remember that much. I can remember when I was still in the archon mind, like most people, the vampire mind, the aversion to the light. I can remember how the light would irritate me. People that were being too bright and happy would irritate me because I knew that everything was nasty and dark. And how dare they? I don't want to hear your hippy dippy spiritual light nonsense. I'm going to punch you in the face. Get out of here, you freak. I remember that. And there's a lot of people that are still in that, but there's still part of you that is awake, because if there wasn't, you would not be here. You would not be here. You would not be here. This channel is hidden. There are no tags, virtually no description. Everything that we know that the YouTube algorithm looks for to suggest videos to people, we don't do that. Because that way, the only way it magically shows up is if she puts it there. That's the only way. And that's why we're not flooded with all sorts of yahoos coming from the outside, like, what is this? What is this nonsense? Bah! I mean, every once in a while, I might get a tiny little bit come in here, and it's just like, don't even engage them. Like, if they're simply under control, and sometime I'm gonna not touch that subject, she will just have me block, because if I don't, you that thing knows it, and it's just going to chip away at me. It's going to try and knock me off my focus. So if she says block that person, then it's like they're not going to help themselves. But you can't let them derail what I have you doing here. So do the hard thinking. What is it that makes you not watch the videos that are full of light? That's why she's always had me do certain things. Is like, yeah, it's like you have to talk about the dark a little bit, because otherwise they won't even look. They won't even they can't digest pure light. You have to mix some dirt in there with it. You have to mix some darkness in with the light, or else they won't come. So even though I used to kick myself thinking I shouldn't talk about that stuff, it's like, no, because it's real and you have to know about it. You have to deal with it. But we're at the freaking end. And she's pushing and she's warning everybody. And now she's bringing her signs back that something's right around the freaking corner. And it's like, it's time to take action. If you're still stuck, the best thing you can do is the inner prayer. Close your eyes, walk back into yourself. Go, you pray to your Father who is in secret. Inside of you, you find the light inside. You do not pray outward to Sky Daddy. Sky Daddy is part of the problem. You go in and you're like, I don't know how to do this. Please help me do it, and I'll do whatever you prod me to do. If you'll just help me do what I don't know how to do. I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. I need your help. You have to ask for help. You have to reach out to her. Hell, I say all the time, we're always available as much as we can be, but I don't get as many people as you'd think. It's always the same people. It's the 75 so people that have already that are actually trying, that have a bunch of the stuff, that have worked with us, that have done things, that are actually interested in her. Yeah, they still deal with they don't have the parasite mind completely free of it, but enough. They're more on the light side than the dark side. They can listen to the songs that we make that are energetically charged with that Benedict stuff, and they like it. It pumps them up. It makes them energetic. If you can do that, then you're doing pretty good. If you won't even watch it, if something tells you not to click it, if I have to bait you with a dark looking thumbnail like I did this time and be all aggressive, if I have to do that to get your attention, you're leaning more into the dark side. And if you're all pissed off right now, understand it's not you that's pissed off. The part of you that still suffers, that still hurts, that's behind the part that's pissed off, that's the real you. And that outer part that's pissed off, that's calling me all sorts of names and projecting things, it wants to keep you that way. You got to somehow understand that he that is within you is greater than he that is in the world. You have more power, but you have to take it. You have to seize it. You have to unleash your light. You have to unleash your lumen. You have to feed her. You have to put your attention on her. You have to cut off attention from that. You have to try. Everyone's got their own little different things that hold them back in different areas. I can't figure them all out. And she's like, it's not my job to figure them out. We can point the way sometimes, but everyone's got their own little tricky things that they're meant to figure out for themselves, what's holding them back. But make no mistake, she is trying to get your attention. If you even made it this far, even if you're pissed off right now, I congratulate you for watching this far. I really sincerely do. Because I know, this is my secret hell. Having to try to help people all these years, and it is like, hey, Chris, you know what I want you to do? I want you to, be a guide and help people climb Mount Everest. I've never climbed a mountain in my freaking life. But that's what the challenge looks like to me sometimes. Because it's only by the Father's will and her help that I got through it. Because when I look back at what I had to do, I don't understand how the hell I did it. I don't. It's freaking insane. I don't see it that clearly anymore because my past is constantly chopping itself off. Like my life pretty much, I mean, if I have to tap into an off-site server to retrieve memory because I don't need it anymore. Like my life that I have now began with her the day she showed up. Everything before that doesn't matter. It's hard for me to connect to it. But she's amped up. She needs you to see it. She needs you to see it. And say something. She's like, you guys are all somewhere on the path. Again, or else you wouldn't be here. And we've said this before. She's like, none of y'all talk to each other. You have more power when you get into little groups. That's what we do when we need to do something big. I'll get one of the other people close to me on the phone, and we sync up through her. When two or more gather in my name, I am with them. It's a multiplier type thing. But they trained us to be separate. That's like divide and conquer is one of the keys to this world and their strategy against you. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. Why is that? Because if you're not divided, they can't take you down. But just trying to get two people to have a freaking conversation, I can't get people, a handful of people leave comments. I can't even get people to tell me like, hey, I enjoyed this video. I can't even get people to push a freaking button with a thumb. It's that hard. People are that disengaged. You got to talk to one another. You got to speak up. Because when people see other people speaking up and they're like, oh, I'm not the only one that's dealing with that, or I'm not the only one that thinks that. I'm not alone here. I'm going to speak up too. And then everybody gets talking. But that thing in your head doesn't want that. It's divide and conquer. It wants you sitting down, shut up, stay in your cell, and don't try because you can't win. Just don't try. You want to suffer more? It's in your head. It's all an illusion. If you knew your true power, you could freaking stand up and grab that thing by its throat and crush it. You are the bigger thing. The only thing that's in your way is you, and that is because the thing that is attached to you trained you to believe that. And she wants you to wake up. There's no more time. That's their message. I'm going to watch this video later and I'm going to be like, holy crap, what the hell was that? I'm like, what did you have me do? Holy crap, what an asshole. Notice you didn't hear a lot of my stutter words. You know why? Because it wasn't me. So if you want to reach out with this, these are all going out tomorrow. Everybody, it's falling. Shield oils. Yeah, these are going out tomorrow. Everybody, let's order them. You can reach us through our Etsy store, clumencreations.etsy.com. Chris and Lumen. Let's do a test. I'm going to put that video that you skipped at the end. Test yourself. How does it make you feel? What's your mind doing? All right. See you next time.
Name your price, a ticket to paradise. I can't stay here anymore. And I've looked high and low, I've been from shore to shore. If there's a shortcut, I'd have found it, but there's no easy way around it. Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Shine on us all, set us free. Love is the answer. Who knows why? Someday we all must die. We're all homeless boys and girls, and we are never heard. It's such a lonely, 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 lonely world. People turn their heads and walk on by. Tell me, is it worth just another try? Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Let it shine, shine on us all, set us free. Love is the answer. You know the answer is love. Tell me, are we alive or just a dying planet? What are the chances? Ask the man in your heart for the answers. And when you feel afraid, love one another. When you've lost your way,